In pro wrestling, just about everything eventually becomes a feud. Tag teams break up, factions splinter, but sometimes the interpersonal conflicts spill out into real life, and genuine friends become bitter enemies. It's no secret that Phil CM Punk Brooks is a polarizing figure. After bursting onto the indies in the early 2000s as a straight-edge rebel, Punk made the jump to WWE and became a household name before being fired from the company in 2014. After a 7-year absence, Punk would return to wrestling in AEW. Things looked to be going smoothly for a while, but Punk was eventually fired by AEW head Tony Khan following a number of backstage incidents. Punk's AEW troubles stemmed from a long-standing conflict with Colt Cabana, a fellow Chicago native who broke into the business alongside the former world champion. Punk and Cabana were close friends for many years. After his WWE exit, Punk went on Cabana's Art of Wrestling podcast to discuss his grievances. The episode resulted in a lengthy lawsuit, pitting Punk and Cabana against WWE.
I was just like, Doctor, you are the most worthless piece of I've ever met in my entire life.
During the legal battle, Punk and Cabana's friendship broke down, and for many years, both men had remained silent about the details of their falling out. That was until Punk's infamous all-out post-show media scrum in September 2022, which saw him go scorched earth on AEW and his issues with Cabana. Punk detailed long-standing money problems stemming from the court case. Punk also took umbrage with rumors regarding Cabana being removed from AEW television after his arrival in August 2021. Cabana still hasn't said anything about the situation, but it's pretty clear that the two are still not on speaking terms. The end of Adam "Edge" Copeland and Matt Hardy's friendship stemmed from a genuine romantic affair. After wowing fans in TLC matches and dominating WWE's tag team division throughout the late 1990s and early 2000s with their respective partners, Hardy and Copeland had built up a strong rapport backstage. Hardy had been dating Amy Lida Dumas for 6 years when things took a sour turn in 2005. It was revealed she had been having an affair with Edge. In the wake of the revelation, Hardy was released by WWE for unprofessional conduct and would briefly work with Ring of Honor. Unwavering fan support saw the company bring Hardy back into the fold. Upon his return, Hardy attacked Edge, and the pair would become embroiled in a storyline on Raw for a number of months, including a match at SummerSlam 2005. After falling short via nefarious means in a Loser Leaves Raw match on October 3rd, Hardy would be sent packing to SmackDown to continue his career, while Edge remained one of the hottest heels on the Red brand, becoming a multi-time world champion. In a 2021 interview, Copeland admitted the situation was difficult and claimed he never enjoyed it, despite the angle becoming a focal point of WWE programming and leading to a main event push for him. In the years that followed, both men moved on from the bitter situation and ended up marrying other women, Edge to Beth Phoenix and Hardy to Rebby Sky. It seems they have since squashed their beef and are working together once again in AEW. One of the greatest rivalries of the 1990s pitted two world-class in-ring technicians against each other, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. After rising through the WWE ranks in different tag teams, the two would break out and lead a new generation in Vince McMahon's company, winning multiple singles championships and putting on classic match after classic match. Early in their rise to the main event, Hart and Michaels were good friends backstage, with mutual respect leading to a personal bond despite a healthy rivalry. However, as Michaels began to receive a bigger push, the success would begin to change his personality. Michaels gained a reputation for politicking as a result of his membership in the Clique, a backstage group that also included Triple H, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall. Things would first come to a head at WrestleMania 12, with an Iron Man match main event and a Michaels victory. After the match, the Heartbreak Kid insulted the Hitman, demanding referee Earl Hebner get him the out of my ring. The issues between the stars would continue to brew throughout 1996 and 1997, leading to an explosive finish to their match at Survivor Series, the infamous Montreal Screwjob, in which Hart was screwed out of the WWE Championship prior to his move to WCW. Hart had been very open for many years about his hatred of Michaels, but both men ultimately reconciled on a 2010 episode of Raw, hugging it out in the middle of the ring. The two Hall of Famers seem to now be on good terms, with Hart's ire now redirected toward Goldberg. Two of the hottest young WWE stars in the mid-2000s were Randy Orton and Mr. Kennedy. Both performers rose through the developmental system together, becoming close friends. They were even travel buddies at one point, but while Orton would become a major player for the sports entertainment juggernaut, winning multiple championships throughout his career, the same can't be said for Kennedy. During a match in 2009, Orton landed awkwardly from a backdrop Kennedy delivered, leading to a frustrated Apex Predator to go backstage alongside fellow top star John Cena to complain that Kennedy was reckless. The incident ultimately led to Kennedy being fired, and any semblance of a relationship between the pair went out the window. While they never fully rekindled their friendship, Kennedy, real name Ken Anderson, would reveal in an interview that the two have buried the hatchet. He also took responsibility for his abrupt exit.
Nobody got me fired. I got me fired.
Anderson continued, "I was very bitter and upset for a few years, and that resentment was directed at the wrong place. It should have been directed back at me." After leaving WWE, Anderson would go on to work for TNA, winning the promotion's world title, while Orton continued to cement himself as one of the greatest WWE superstars of the modern era. CM Punk has been described as fiercely loyal by the likes of Joey Mercury and Kofi Kingston over the years, but there have been instances where his abrasive demeanor has led to the end of close friendships, including his friendship with WWE commentator Corey Graves. Though they never worked together on screen, the pair had become tight backstage. Despite Graves' best efforts following Punk's departure from WWE in 2014, they did not remain in contact, leading to Graves making a public dig at Punk on X, formerly known as Twitter, after one of his former friends' UFC defeats. Graves wrote in 2016, "Maybe abandoning everybody who stood by your side even when we weren't supposed to, only to have you turn your back on us wasn't the right move after all? No anger, only sadness." In an interview on the Kurt Angle Show, Graves shone some light on where he would stand if Punk did return to WWE following his AEW firing due to a backstage incident.
If it's right for business, who am I to say no? I would shake the man's hand and move on and see what life holds.
It's yet to be revealed if that's what happened when Punk did, in fact, return to WWE at Survivor Series 2023. Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch formed a tremendous bond during their rise to the top of WWE, working their way through developmental and onto the main roster together, culminating in a historic main event bout along with Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania 35. While both performers had a heated rivalry within ropes, their friendship away from wrestling was strong for many years. Somewhere along the way, Flair and Lynch fell out, however. Their backstage issues would culminate with an awkward segment on SmackDown in October 2021, which saw the two champions forced to swap belts following the results of the WWE draft. Lynch attempted to play ball, but Flair dropped her championship onto the mat, leading to an intense moment between the pair. After both stars went back through the curtain, an altercation that almost turned physical ensued, according to reports at the time. Flair and Lynch wrestled each other at Survivor Series that year and didn't work together again until they teamed alongside Shotzi and Bianca Belair at Survivor Series 2023. In an interview with the MMA Hour in the wake of the incident, Lynch would explain her side of the story, claiming that she and Flair were the best of friends when Flair was on top. But Flair couldn't handle Lynch's rising star over the past few years.
She's got that jealousy, and she's got that just that little devil on her shoulder.
As two-thirds of the most entertaining trios, along with Grandmaster Sexy, Brian Christopher during WWE's Attitude Era, Rikishi and Scotty Hotty were seemingly close friends and had built up a strong connection during their time with the company. The pair won championship gold together, but things took a sour turn in 2015, when only one member of the team was inducted into the Hall of Fame. During his acceptance speech, Rikishi would fail to mention Scotty or Christopher. After the ceremony, Scotty would take to social media to vent his frustration at Rikishi, claiming he deserved a mention, and saying it hurt to be left out of the speech given the amount of time they spent working alongside each other. However, both men have since buried the hatchet, with Scotty posting a selfie with Rikishi on X in December 2021. While he is yet to earn his own induction, Scotty, real name Scott Garland, worked in a backstage producer role with WWE before leaving the company to return to the independent scene. It took him a long time to get there, but Stone Cold Steve Austin ended up having one of the most successful careers in wrestling history. During his early years in WWE, Austin often traveled with two fellow performers, Billy Gunn and Bob Hardcore Holly, building a strong friendship with the latter. As the popularity of the Texas Rattlesnake continued to rise, leading to multiple WrestleMania main events, Holly's career never took off to that same level with WWE, and the pair eventually fell out. While there have only been scarce details over the years, Holly claimed that Austin's ego led to the pair drifting apart, despite the fact that the Hall of Famer has remained close with a number of his other colleagues from that time period, including Jim Ross and William Regal. The 1980s are remembered as a golden era for WWE, largely because of two larger-than-life characters at the top of the card, Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage. The pair even had a tag team run as the Mega Powers in the midst of a lengthy period as the company's two top babyface stars. An on-screen split of that team led to the main event bout at WrestleMania 5, which saw Hogan emerge with the WWE Championship. Their on-screen feud centered largely around Miss Elizabeth, Savage's real-life wife at the time, but things escalated to outside of the ring in 1992. Savage and Elizabeth would file for divorce, and according to an interview earlier on the Full Send podcast, Hogan claimed his former ally blamed him for the marriage ending.
When he went through a divorce, he thought I had something to do with it. That turned out to be like an 8-year, don't talk to each other thing.
Hogan would reveal in the same interview that he reconciled with Savage prior to Savage's death in 2011, but the pair's friendship was never fully repaired for close to 2 decades. Savage even famously cut a diss track on Hogan on his rap album. Despite the long-standing and public heat between the pair, Hogan would end up inducting his former rival into the WWE Hall of Fame, giving Savage a fitting send-off. In the early stages of his career, Shawn Michaels was one half, alongside Marty Jannetty of the Rockers, an entertaining tag team that endeared themselves to fans across the globe. Unfortunately, in 1991, right around the time Michaels' popularity was beginning to rise, the pair would become embroiled in a shoot backstage fight, and it led to the team splitting up in storyline in an iconic moment involving a barbershop window. Michaels went on to become one of the most accomplished performers in the history of the business, while Jannetty failed to find singles success. Over the years, the latter has dealt with personal issues relating to drugs and alcohol, and the duo has not stayed in contact, according to Michaels' 2019 interview with Challenge Mania. He said, "I no longer have a contact number for him. There are times I see him, he is great, he seems great. Other times, it's less so. It's heartbreaking to me, just as it is to everyone else. I don't know what any of us can do in that aspect. He has made a decision on how he wants to live his life."